with this movie, I was so excited to see Tron Ares. I'm one of the few that genuinely love Tron Legacy. I can see why some people didn't like Tron Legacy. I think they changed the story up a little bit from the original Tron. But however, I do feel it still it followed through on its title, acting on the legacy of the first Tron movie with Flynn, his son, everything like that. And they set up a clear sequel at the end of Tron Legacy. Now, I wasn't expecting this movie to be the sequel to Tron Legacy, but I wanted it to include at least a significant amount or at least lead into what could be a Tron Legacy sequel. And it just didn't. They did little things to kind of keep you there and be like, oh, okay, they mentioned it. So like maybe it'll lead somewhere. And it just doesn't. And the whole movie is honestly, it's a waste of time, in my opinion. I walked out of the movie. I was like, I don't want to go see this again right away, but I don't think it was terrible either. And I still don't think it's terrible because visually it's there. However, just a lot of black and reds. So I just don't like this movie. And it's pretty rare for that to happen for me, especially in the series of Tron, which I love Legacy. And after watching the first Tron now, I really like that movie too, considering how old it is. And so Tron Ares is about the grandson of the villain from the first movie that created his own grid like Flynn, but it's like it's bad guy grid, so it's only black and red. There's no brightness to it at all. He creates Ares, Jared Leto's character, who's supposed to find the permanence code so that way they can live for 20 or longer than 29 minutes outside in the real life. And somehow he finds a connection with the woman that took over Encom. That's Jeff Bridges' character's Kevin Flynn's company. And they just write off his son, Sam Flynn. And so at the end of Tron Legacy, they're like, hey, you're gonna take Cora, the girl that Olivia Wilde played, who's an ISO. She's got a different genetic structure that can help change things in the world. He's going to take her out of the grid, and then they're going to go change the world. Well, what they do at the very beginning of the movie is say, Sam Flynn has a mystery woman, and he left the company. And they just disappeared. Like, what? If there's something in there, there's a story just in that moment that's like, hey, Cora has something in her that if it gets into the wrong hands, which it looks like it potentially could, because maybe there's a secret organization within Encom that wants to do bad more than good, whatever it may be. We have to go into hiding now. You could literally explain that with the characters, and it's fine. Just to say he left is lazy writing. And it's a way just to write off another straight white male because Disney fucking hates those guys. I'm one of them. Just another way to write them off. And this does exactly what The Force Awakens does. And I genuinely love The Force Awakens. But this does what The Force Awakens does. And it takes everything that the people loved about the prior movie and just shoves it all in a corner and just goes back to rely solely on the original when the original didn't even have a large following to begin with either. And I don't mind that you're following from like trying to do a follow-up, I guess you could say, to the original. Like this is more of a follow-up to the original than it is to Tron Legacy. However, don't shun away the fans of Tron Legacy. Just like The Force Awakens and the sequel trilogy kind of shunned away the fans of the Star Wars prequel trilogy. That's not cool. Like you're all about inclusivity. Include every one of the fandoms. Like there's a way to combine those two movies, Tron Legacy and Tron, and fit it with this new Tron Ares, with what they were trying to do in the story. And so again, it just, I don't know, that part didn't sit well with me. I didn't like that at all. I did like, however, the idea of the grid coming into the real world. However, I was under the impression it was the grid, not this fake phony grid. But either way, to have the elements of the grid come into the real world, I think was a fascinating topic to go on because we've never seen that happen. Both times a human went into the grid. And so like I was like, okay, this could be like a Jumanji feel where the game is going to come out to the world. And it felt very small. There was a light cycle chase and the big ship, I forget what it's called, the Receptor or something like that. It's literally just that, and then some new little wing jets for the grid pilots, I guess you could say. So it's just two sequences technically, and the characters. Like it's not the true grid with all like the fascinating spectacle of it coming out and taking over the real world and digitizing everything. Like there's so much more that could have been done with that idea, and they just did not act on it at all. They just said, hey, let's have one cool action sequence that honestly really isn't even that cool. So I was very disappointed in that. The visuals are good. I'll give the visuals their props. However, again, the difference for me is that Tron Legacy, you had greens, you had blues, you had yellows, you had oranges, you had whites. there's all these different colors that just pop in Tron Legacy. And I'm sure on 4K it looks even more amazing. This is red and orange and some more red. And then they do a throwback to the 80s style, which is like, okay, like that's cool, but that's it just like they didn't continue to expand off of what was expanded on in Tron Legacy. They just went back to the old one. It's like, okay, come on, do better than that. There's an easier way to do more, and there's also a way to just not rely solely on the like. Okay, honestly, I'm going off topic here, but do you think anybody from the fucking 80s went to go see this movie? No, and those that did are those that talk about movies for a living. So the whole thing frustrates me. The soundtrack was okay. It was Nine Inch Nails. It wasn't bad. I don't not like Nine Inch Nails, but I'm not going to go out of my way to listen to them. However, with the soundtrack, I felt like they were trying too hard to blend the 80s nostalgia in music and the Daft Punk score and their Nine Inch Nails sound all into one instead of just making a Nine Inch Nails album. Now, again, I'm not big into Nine Inch Nails. Maybe that's just how they naturally sound. I'm not too sure. But Trent Reznor has done much better scores. I think the score for Social Network was better. I think the score for Gone Girl was better. I know Atticus Ross has done a couple different scores by himself as well. That I just felt they've done better work, and this just felt like they copied it with an AI influence, saying like, hey, you could copy my homework but change it up a little bit. It didn't feel original. There are some good songs in there though that they have, or some good soundtrack scores. It wasn't what I was hoping to be on all levels of this movie. Same thing with the acting. I didn't even get to this part. How do you have a movie called Tron and Tron's not in the fucking movie? What? You could have easily had Tron be the Jeff Bridges cameo. You didn't even need Jeff Bridges in that. And I hate saying that because I really like him in Tron Legacy and in Tron. Or you could have both of them, Jeff Bridges' character Kevin Flynn and Tron, in there when Jared Leto goes into the original grid. There's so much that they just left out that it felt like they didn't even take the chance to try to work into the script. It's just like, oh, people have been waiting 15 years, so let's just make something to make something. It's like, no, don't do that. Put some effort into it. And I felt like this movie had very little effort. The person that put in the most effort was probably, oh Jesus, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say Jared Leto because he's supposed to come off as a robot and he does that very like autistic robot style. It's the best way to say it, I guess. He does that well. And his character has a decent arc, and there was a moment in there where like his color changed from red to blue once he became the good guy, and I like that. I was really looking forward to seeing that. It just so much of this was just unoriginal, and you can see how like unoriginal and lazy this movie is based off of the character that Evan Peters plays. He literally just does a copy of something else, but it's shittier. And that's exactly what this movie is. It's a copy of trying to do two other things that were great, but it was worse because they ignored one of the things that made it great, that being Tron Legacy. So again, with this movie, was not a fan. I hate saying that because I do genuinely love this franchise, and I really want to go to Disney World to ride the Light Cycle ride. But it just I wasn't impressed. I walked out of the movie more sad than happy. And with this movie, I give Tron Ares 5.5 out of 10, and that's being generous.